Today we're going to show you how to make this amazing lamb with some butternut squash and broccoli. Welcome to TCR, guys. Let's talk about some of the ingredients and tools we're going to use to make this really yummy dish.
All right, we have this amazing rack of lamb right here from a lamb that we raised. And then out of the herb garden, we have some thyme, some rosemary, some oregano, and some mint. For side dishes, we're going to have some pan-fried broccoli and some pureed butternut squash. We canned this squash and grew it in the garden ourselves. We're also going to be using some of our pork stock for the roux that we're going to put over the top of it, and some fermented garlic that we did here ourselves. We're going to mix in one Granny Smith apple. We're going to need an onion. We're going to need some garlic salt, some Himalayan salt, some fresh cracked black pepper, a little bit of grass-fed butter. And the butter itself's not grass-fed, the cows were. We're going to use some coconut milk and a couple of kinds of oil and a little bit of wine. Use whatever kind of red wine you want. We're going to use this Cabernet that we bought pretty much specifically for cooking. We're also going to use some microgreens out of the garden, windowsill garden. And we have over here some pistachios and some freshly chopped rosemary that we're going to grind up. So the first thing I'm going to do is open this jar up, get it into a pan over here, and start bringing it up to temperature. And then I'm going to chop this onion.
And while he's doing that, I'm going to put my pistachio nuts in the food processor and get them ground up for our crust.
Nice. All right.
That's what she said.
And the onions go in a pan. We're going to caramelize these because every great recipe starts with caramelized onions. And these are ready to strain. We're going to put them right back in the pot where we're going to mash them. All right, I'm going to give this rack a little trim. I'm going to take a little bit of this protein off of the ends of the ribs here, and then I'm going to French out the tips.
So you're just taking the extra fat off the top of that
This part? Is actually protein that's between the ribs that I'm taking out.
You gonna put the fancy paper cups on the top?
No.
We're not that fancy.
We're not that fancy. Okay, when the onions get well caramelized, these are a little on the burnt side, we're going to add in some wine. I didn't measure that, it's probably half a cup. And then we're gonna kind of deglaze that pan, get all that flavor up. Then we're gonna add our pork stock. And probably around a cup. Add a few of these fermented garlic. We'll put 4 of them in there actually, that's going to be nice and strong. We're going to add thyme, rosemary, and oregano. Then we're going to add some mint, and what I'm going to do with this mint is I'm going to kind of crush and tear it and really try to get some of those oils out. You can slice it, but if you crush it and tear it,
then your fingers smell pretty.
Yes. Now we're going to let this come up to a simmer and reduce for a while. The reason we wanted to get this started right away is it's the longest process. This is going to turn into a little sauce that we're then going to put over the top of it.
I'm going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. My Le Creuset ceramic casserole dish that we're going to be using to cook the lamb in is already in the oven, so it's coming up to temp. And in the meantime, I'm going to mash up my fabulous canned butternut squash. I'm going to add some coconut milk. And I know, metal on a pan. I don't normally do this, but for the purposes of showing you guys today, we're going to do it this way. A little bit of pepper.
All right, it's time to sear this lamb. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of oil. I'm gonna use avocado. It's got a kind of a high smoke point. I'm gonna let that get nice and hot on high. And once that oil is good and hot, I'm gonna take this lamb, and you notice this side right here, the meat side, is going to make more contact, and that's what I want to sear. So I'm going to lay it in there. And I'm just going to let that sear for a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to flip it over and let it sear there for just another minute or two. We've taken the lid off of.
Reducing nicely.
Yeah, it's reducing. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be so yummy. Go ahead and take a look. I think I'm calling that.
What are you going to call it? You going to call it Bob?
Now we're going to let this cool down for just a second before we rub it. No dirty jokes.
Oh, damn. I'm going to go ahead and get this broccoli ready for the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it right about here. I'm going to save these stalks and I'm going to make a soup tomorrow. And I'm just going to cut it right down the middle so that when we pan fry it, it's nice and flat.
Okay, the oven is almost up to temp. So it's time to rub this down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Dijon mustard. We like the Organics brand, honey. But I'm just going to get it on there. And then I'm going to rub it just like that. And now I'm going to take our crust and just get it on there.
This is one of those things that if you order it in a restaurant, for all three of us to order this, it would be a lot of money. And not necessarily as good a quality.
Right. And there's that oven up to temp. Perfect timing. I'm going to go fat side up. Just like that. There. And we're going to check that in 20 minutes. Somebody out there is really mad at me right now that I did not put salt on that lamb. Let me explain why. The pistachios that we use are salted, so there's a lot of salt there already. If you use a breadcrumb or any other kind of crust, you're definitely going to want to add salt. So that's my explanation for that. Now let's taste this and see how it's tasting. It's still got some ways to go, reduction wise. So that does need some salt. Oh, that tastes so good.
And you can see how far it's reduced from that line on the pan there.
I was gonna add garlic powder. I pulled some out, but the fermented garlic that's in there is coming through so well that I'm not going to. I am gonna add a little bit of cracked black pepper, and the butter is gonna be used when we finish that. So we'll get to that. All right, this is getting real close.
See how thick and syrupy it's looking?
To what I want. I'm gonna add a little dab of butter right now.
Dabble, do you?
All right.
All right.
Make it nice and shiny.
Shiny.
Yeah, butter does.
Shiny.
Let that keep reducing. We are 4 minutes and 35 seconds away from checking that lamb. Okay, it's been 20 minutes, so we're gonna pull this lamb out of here and take a temperature.
Take a temperature? Is it sick? Just kidding. He finds no humor in me this evening. Woo! Hot AF.
Still too cold.
It's chilling like a villain.
So, that being what it is,
Put it back in.
we're gonna put it back in uncovered. So we put the lamb back in the oven uncovered. We're probably gonna do about, we'll say 5 more minutes. And right now, our reduction is ready. I'm turn that off, look at that. There it is.
There she blows.
I gotta give that a taste. I gotta. Wow. That is so good. Okay, that actually took 10 more minutes, not 5, to get it up to an internal temperature of about 132, 133 degrees, depending on where I stuck it. So that's a total cook time of 30 minutes, 20 of which was covered, and 10 was uncovered. What I'm gonna do now is set it right over here and cover it, and we're gonna let it rest while we make the broccoli. We're gonna lay a towel across that, letting everybody know it's a hot pan. And then remember this pan that I seared the rack in? I didn't clean it. I'm gonna get that hot again, and I'm gonna add a dab of butter to it this time. All right, you don't want to burn your butter. We're gonna take these broccoli and lay them in here. Fit one more. All right. I'm gonna turn that down to medium, and then we're gonna cover it and let them steam in there a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna give those a few minutes to cook while the lamb's resting, and then we're gonna talk about the apple. Remember that apple that I said we were gonna use? This is for when you need a snack, because it's taking too long to cook dinner. Okay, I added maybe a 1/4 cup or so of water in here a couple minutes ago to get it to steam. And now I'm just going to ever so lightly salt them.
From far away.
And we'll cover those for just another minute and they'll be done.
Lick it.
What we're experiencing right now is a total YouTube fail. This spine right here was supposed to have been chined, and I totally forgot to chine it. So I cannot cut these into typical drumsticks. That's a bummer. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna remove this loin from the spine as if I were doing, I'm gonna need a boning knife, as if I were doing like just a loin roast.
We'll just have medallions instead of the lollipops.
That's right. All right, let's see if we can recover from this fail.
It's gonna taste good either way.
Yes.
It's okay, babe. Just do as I say, not as I do. Right?
If you get your rack from a butcher, it will be properly chined. If you process the lamb yourself, you need to remember to chine it.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so you get the notifications.
The hell did she say?
I have no idea.
Alright.
Peanut gallery is getting antsy.
Let's eat.